Hey there, Sart here, and here is the third and the final video in my top 20 series. This is just to, again, to say thanks to all of my subscribers. As promised, the vision card top 20 video is here. And look, this isn't to say that this is the last time I'll do a video like this. I certainly have enjoyed making these. It's a different type of a video that I'm used to making. I don't usually do, ranking guides or anything like that. That's sort of outside of my wheelhouse. I'm not the type of player that analyzes every single unit or item or vision card in the game. And so I've actually learned a lot in doing this process. You guys have been giving me some great feedback on these videos. So thank you guys so much for this. It'll probably be a while before I do another top 20 video. I have some ideas of some future videos that I could do. I certainly won't do another top 20 units video for a while. Give it six to 8 months, let some more units come out, and then it'll be worth it to maybe do another top 20 units. Same thing with like STMRs and VCs. You got to wait a while for some new things to come into the market and to see if it's worthwhile to do that type of video. But I could certainly do other things. I had thought about doing like a top 20 weapons or like top 20 materias or things like that. So there's definitely some other ideas for top 20 videos I could do, but I'm going to take a little break from the top 20 series for at least a little bit and focus on some other content. I've got some story content I really want to work on. I'm hoping that, we've got one more week of, after this week, we'll have another week of this vision world, which has been, kind of boring. But then we'll get Clash of Wills after that. We've got Halloween coming up, so I'm kind of excited about some upcoming content, and I'll be wanting to focus on that stuff as well. But once again, thank you guys so much. Thank you for your support. So now let's go ahead and let's talk about this particular top 20 video. So we're going to be ranking the top 20 vision cards. And what I've sort of done with this video is I've broken it up into 3 different sections. So I've got what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a top 10 non-premium vision cards. So vision cards that you get from non-premium units. I'll then do a top 5 premium vision cards. So vision cards that you can only get from premium units, where you have to get the unit up to EX3 to get the vision card. And then I will end with a top 5 global exclusive limited vision card. And that's pretty much, those are the cards that you get on those special step up banners that come every so often. Usually we get one like once a month. And they come with, a specific unit step up or something like that. You get the ticket and you get the special global exclusive vision card. And so we've got quite a few of those out there, and I decided to look at those and decide on the 5 that I thought were probably the most important ones in that list. And so altogether that comes up to a top 20. We've just broken it up into 3 different sections. All right, and so hopefully that makes it a little bit easier to digest, and hopefully it's a little bit more helpful for you guys as well. Now, I want to say this is definitely not an exhaustive list of the vision cards, and I want to promote a video that Flip Method did with Gert a month ago, where they actually looked at all the vision cards, or at least most of them, and they did like a full-on tier ranking video of vision cards. They put a lot of work into it. It's a long video, but it's worth it if you actually want to see all the vision cards that are out there and how they stack up to one another. I'm just doing the top 20, but if you want to know more about all the vision cards that are out there, take a look at Flip Method's video. I will put a link to it in a sticky comment below. So definitely check out that video if you want more information on vision cards. Now, as with all of my top 20 videos, it just things to keep in mind that needs to be said, that this is my personal opinion, and all of these are in the eye of the beholder, and it depends entirely on your play style and whether or not you have a similar play style to mine. I am totally biased, towards the way that I play the game, and so that is going to be reflected in the vision cards that I have picked for my top 20. So just keep that in mind. Don't believe everything you hear on the internet, right? So I mean, it's my opinion. If you don't agree with it, that's fine. Definitely let me know in the comments below. I'm always happy to have a civil debate on these things. A couple of other things. I'm going to try and keep limited, like unit limited vision cards off the list for the most part, but there is one on my non-premium list that is from a limited unit, but I'll sort of explain a little bit more about that once we get to it. All right, so let's go ahead and start with our top 10 non-premium vision cards. So I'll start with one that is fairly old, but I think still can be useful in a lot of situations, and especially for newer players if you don't have a whole lot of vision cards. This is actually still a very strong vision card for mages. And this comes from Louise. You can also get it from the Perma VC shop. So if you ever get like a premium unit and you upgrade them to EX1, you get the ticket that you can spend in the Perma VC shop. And this one is one of those that you can get from the Perma VC shop. I'm not necessarily saying it's the best one for that use, but it can be still very, very useful for mages because it's got a fairly high static or mag stat at 115, which is still quite good. Even today when we have vision cards out there that are like 120 and 125, 115 is still pretty strong for a mage. And it comes with some nice mag passives, 50% mag all up once you've leveled it up. It gives 5 LB gauge fill per turn, which can be very, very nice if you're using it on a mage that needs their LB gauge filled up. And then it comes with 50% LB damage, which I think is a nice little addition. Now that is for FFBE units only, but like I said, there are tons of great FFBE units out there. And so I think this vision card definitely deserves to be on my top 10. So this vision card, a Master in Disguise, comes from Neovision Fryevia. You can also buy this card using the Perma VC exchange shop currently as of this video, and this one's kind of nice because it's of course useful on Fryevia. It's great for use on other hybrid units. Say if you have Starlight Elena, this is actually a really great vision card to use on Starlight Elena. And as a damage dealer, Starlight Elena is objectively stronger than Neovision Fryevia, so definitely would be more useful on Starlight Elena. But it's got, it only has 110 attack and mag, which is a little bit low by today's standards, but it's still, it's still not too shabby. It comes with 60% unrestricted attack and mag as well. And then it does give some static stats, 250 to attack mag and to defense and spirit, which is actually kind of nice because, if you're in a situation where maybe you need to add a little bit of bulk to your damage dealer, but you don't want to sacrifice too much damage, then this could actually come in handy in that instance. But it doesn't really have a whole lot else to offer, but just for like a straight damage dealer card, you can use it on physical damage dealers or magic damage dealers, or on hybrid units. So it's a very flexible card, and that's why I put this one on my top 10 vision card list. So Be Like Water comes from Tidebringer Kaito. You can also buy this one in the Perma VC Select shop. And this one's on the top 10 list really only because of that unrestricted 500 static attack. Of course it is restricted to FFBE units, but I mean, who else are you going to use it on really? What I don't like about it is that the passive attack is for katanas only. I wish that had been an unrestricted 70% attack. maybe that would have made it too powerful. I don't really think so, considering some of the other cards that are out there. But it does come with a nice 500 flat attack, and it even comes with a couple of resistances. You've got some 30% fire and 30% wind resistance, which, you know, I mean, who knows? In a pinch, that could really come in handy. But it's got 115 attack on it to get started with, which is fairly decent, and so it's definitely good for physical damage dealers with that 500 static attack, which can, you know, oftentimes really increase your damage output. So I like this card, and I think it's definitely flexible on a lot of physical DPS units, and that's why it makes my top 10 list. So this is the only vision card on this list that comes from a limited unit. I'm including it simply for the fact that we do have Halloween coming up, and Karten is a Halloween unit. So this vision card comes from Neo Vision Karten, also known as Full Moon Karten. You cannot get this vision card in the Perma VC shop, and so the only way to get it is to awaken Full Moon Karten to EX1 or EX3. But we do have the Halloween banner coming up, and it's possible that Karten will be on the banner. It's also possible that Karten might be getting some upgrades, or he might be getting an intrinsic ability. And so if you happen to pick up Karten from the upcoming Halloween banner, assuming that he's going to be on there anywhere, this can be a very useful card. Now, it's got, you know, fairly low attack at 110, you know, compared to more contemporary cards, but, you know, 110 still not too shabby. It does require a fist to be equipped if you want to take advantage of that 50% attack. That kind of sucks. It only has 25% LB damage. That's kind of But what I really like about this card, and the reason why it made the list, is because it has 3 killers on it: Demon, Human, and Reaper, all at 50%. And I think that's, personally, I think that's really strong, especially considering, you know, a lot of in-game content like Clash of Wills and Dark Visions and all that stuff. You often run into bosses with multiple races, and so having access to killers like these, especially multiple killers on a vision card, can be incredibly useful for helping to reach the max cap on multiple killers for a certain fight. And so that's why this card makes my top 10 list. But I'm really hoping that, you know, for those of you that missed out on Karten last year, there'll be another chance to pick him up. I hope he gets some upgrades, because he has kind of fallen out of the meta a bit. But yeah, we'll just see. If Karten's not on the Halloween banner, then this card, basically you can just, you know, remove this one. But if you do have the card, it can be useful in certain situations. So I still find myself using this vision card, usually on tanks or sometimes support units, and a King's Dominion comes from King Behemy, and it's still a very useful vision card. I think it's got some, you know, fairly low defense stats at only 60, but it's got 1100 HP, and you know, the thing to always remember is that the base stats on the cards, those go into your unit's base stats, and those get multiplied by things like TDH and your passives. And so, you know, if you have a tank or a support unit and they have a lot of passive HP, then, you know, that 1100 can get multiplied by, you know, potentially can be multiplied by 5, right? And so, you know, that could be 5500 HP, which, you know, could make a significant difference in the bulk of your unit. And so I do like vision cards that come with HP on them, and so I think this vision card definitely is worth being on the list. It also comes with 20% evasion, which can really help for, you know, if you're doing evasion builds on your tank or on your support units, and a little extra HP, which 30% HP, just to add a little icing onto the cake. The 50% defense with a large sword, that's kind of meh. I mean, that's a little bit too restrictive, but the other things I think make up for it. Having the high base HP with the 30% HP and the physical evasion, I think that makes this card still very useful and a good one to have in your inventory. So this vision card comes from Tulien, Neo Vision Tulien. You can also buy this one in the Perma VC Select shop. And this one, despite the fact that the stats are fairly weak, it's only got 80 attack and 80 defense. Those are fairly weak, but it's the passives that come with it that I really like. So when you add everything all up, and there are no restrictions on any of these, which I also really like. I think you know, vision cards that don't have any restrictions on any of their special passives. I wish more vision cards would do that. I hate restrictions, especially the series specific cards where it's restricted to like that specific Final Fantasy series. So I'm really happy to see cards that don't have those types of restrictions. But with everything all up, this card gives you 50% draw attacks or 50% passive provoke, however you want to phrase that, and 30% evasion. So this is actually an incredibly useful card for building passive provoke units or provoke evade units on your team, because with this card along with Moogle Charm, right off the bat you have 100% passive provoke. That is incredibly powerful, especially for newer players who are struggling to build passive provoke units. And then the 30% evasion on top of it is just a nice little bit of cherry on top to kind of help get you closer to a full evade unit. So I think this card is actually still very, very useful. Great for support units, great for tanks, if you're building an evade tank. And yeah, I think this card still has a lot of uses even today, and that's why it makes my top 10 list. So Summertime Savior comes from Beach Blaster Olive, also known as Beach Babe Olive, as I like to call her. This card is not currently available in the Perma VC Select shop as of this video. It's possible it'll get added the next time they update that shop. They usually update it every like 3 to 4 months or something like that. I'm not sure when the next one is due, but as of now, you can only get this card from Awakening Beach Blaster Olive to EX1 or EX3. And it's a great card for mages. It's got a high mag stat at 125, which is quite high compared to some older cards. And the passives that it comes with are quite nice as well, with 50% MP, 50% mag. It's got 50% to 2 killers. I wish it was a little bit higher, because those are some rare killers, like bird and aquatic killers are hard to come by. So it would have been nice if those were a little bit higher, but still, I'm not going to complain when there are killers on a strong vision card. So 50% to bird and aquatic. And then for FFBE units, you get 2 more killers, which is awesome. So you get 50% to beast and 50% to machine. And so having 4 killers at 50% on a non-premium card, I think is very, very strong. The flat mag is a little bit low at only 300, but you know what, with the killers in there, I think that makes up for it personally. So this is a very, very strong card for your mages. Of course, it's great on Olive herself, but any mage can equip this and be much, much stronger for it. And that's why this card makes my top 10 list. So speaking of mage cards, the recent Neo Vision Tsukiko comes with a nice one called Offerings for the Maiden. Another strong 125 mag stat on it, so, you know, right off the bat, really, really strong card for mages. Also comes with the unrestricted 50% mag. Doesn't come with any MP boost, but that's all right. The mag's the one we're most worried about, right? But it does come with a lot of other boosts. 50% LB damage, which is quite strong on a non-premium card. 50% evocation damage, which of course is useful on Tsukiko herself because she's an evoker, but could also be used on other evokers as well if you don't, you know, if for some reason you don't want to use Tsukiko as your evoker in a certain situation. And then on top of that, you get a nice 500 flat mag for any FFBE unit. So this is of course very, very strong on Tsukiko herself, but could also be very, very strong on mages, that, especially mages that use their LB for the majority of their damage, because that 50% LB damage is very, very nice. 500 flat mag, very, very nice. That makes it a bit stronger than say Beach Babe Olive's card. Doesn't have any killers on it, but you know, still a very, very strong card for mages, and that's why it makes my top 10 list. So at number 2 on our list, we have Chizuru's card, A Happy Family. Kind of a sad animation on this vision card if you know the story behind Chizuru. I won't recount it here. I don't want to spoil anything. But yeah, the card itself is incredibly strong for physical damage units. It's got a nice high attack stat at 125, which is great right off the bat. And it comes with 50% unrestricted attack, 50% defense, just for a little extra bulk, I guess. You know, it never hurts, right? It does come with stop resistance, which is kind of nice. Stop is just, you know, it's one of those things that when it matters, it really matters, right? To have, and so having that on a vision card means you don't have to worry about looking for a piece of gear to equip to nullify your stop resistance, or, you know, bringing a support unit with it or something like that. So that's nice. On top of that, it even comes with an escape death, or what we call guts, and it's 100% effective as long as your HP is above 1%, and so that's really great. So you know, there are lots of instances where you might need guts, especially on your damage dealers, and so having that on the card is really, really nice. And then you've got this, look at, I mean, this list is insane. That is every single species. That's a 25% killer to all races. That's really, really powerful, especially again, considering if you're really into Clash of Wills or Dark Visions or in-game content where you're going to be encountering bosses that are multiple races. Having this card on there really is just nice, because you don't necessarily have to go look for a vision card with specific killers on it. This one has them all. They're only 25%, but everything else that it has going on with it, with the high attack stat, even gives you 500 flat attack. You know, all of that all together, all up, makes this a very, very strong vision card for physical damage units. And that's why it is right there near the, you know, almost at the top of my top 10 non-premium VC list. So you may or may not be surprised at my number 1 non-premium vision card here. This is Paladin Sylvie's vision card called Always Watching Over Me. And, you know, obviously if you know me, you know I love Esther, I love Sylvie. And sure, there's a little bit of bias in there, but this is an incredibly strong card for tanks, for support units, and I personally, my playstyle, I always value my support units over damage dealers, because damage dealers are a dime a dozen, you know, whatever, they're coming out all over the place. I value support much more than my damage dealers, and so this is a very strong support card. And you know, if you look at all those resistances, 30% across the board, with 50% to lightning, earth, and light. And so right off the bat, boom, you've got lots of elemental resistances, which can be very, very important. Say you've got, you know, a mag tank and you need to build them for elemental resistances. This goes a long way to getting you there. So right off the bat, very, very strong. It's got 115 spirit, which is also great for mag tanks, great for support units in general. And then it also comes with, and this is really great because, you know, if you know me, you know my favorite content is Clash of Wills, and this ability right here is very, very nice. And so it gives you 25 morale gen with 25 extra for every active unit on the field. Okay, and so what that gives you is a total of, I think, 175 morale every turn. So that procs every single turn. And there's a neat little trick with this, apparently, if you're dual wielding. So if the unit that has this equipped is dual wielding, meaning they have weapons in both hands. This will actually proc twice, so you could potentially get 350 morale every turn on a dual wield unit. So you know, that alone, like, you know, morale gen is super important in Cal these days, because it, you know, it improves your damage, it reduces the incoming damage, increases the outgoing damage. Very, very important thing for Clash of Wills. So having a card like this that automatically generates your morale every turn, very, very nice. And then, you know, it comes with the static defense and spirit. So again, great for bulking up your support units. I definitely recommend, you know, if you can, try and get it, you know, as many of these cards as you can. I'll be excited when this card comes to the Perma VC shop. I will be spending several VC Select tickets on this one. It's not in there currently. I'm hoping it'll come to the shop in the next Perma VC Select shop update. But as of this video, you cannot currently get this card in the Perma VC shop. So you can only get it by awakening Paladin Sylvie to EX1 and EX3. All right. But I think this is a very, very strong card, especially for Clash of Wills, but also super great for mag tanks and for just building general elemental resists for your whole team. So definitely number one on my top 10 non-premium VC list. So I want to give a quick shout out. It's just an honorable mention to this vision card, Y.R.P. And this comes from awakening any of the recent Final Fantasy X2 units. That's Songstress Yuna, Berserker Riku, or Dark Knight Pain. If you awaken any of them to EX1 or EX3, you can get this card. It's unique because it has no restrictions on it. So, you know, a lot of the series specific cards often have series specific restrictions on them, which I really hate. I wish they wouldn't do that, because it really limits their usefulness. But this card actually has no restrictions on it, and it's I don't know, I like it because of the killers. All right, it's got a decent attack and mag stat, so you can use it on hybrid units, you can use it on physical units, you can use it on magic units. The problem is it comes with no passive stats, and it comes with no flat stats. So you don't get any passive attack or mag, you don't get any flat attack or mag. But it does have 75% killers to 3 different races: Reaper, Machine, and Human. So I definitely see potential for this card to be used in certain situations, especially situations like Clash of Wills or Dark Visions, where you have dual race enemies. This can potentially come in handy, especially if you have a unit where, you know, they're already hitting their passive attack stats, or they're getting, you know, a crap ton of passive attack or passive mag from other sources, like, you know, like their own TMRs or STMRs or whatnot, or other series specific things. And so while I don't think it's as strong as some of the other cards that I put on the list, I do like the fact that the killers that it comes with are all 75%. And if you do come up in a situation where you've got 2 killers matching up against the boss, say like a Reaper Machine or a Human Reaper or a Human Machine, in those cases, I think this card can actually be very, very strong and very versatile. So I think in certain situations, this card is definitely worth mentioning. So, you know, I know a lot of people didn't pull on this particular banner, but if you did, you know, just happen to get one unit, like, you know, for example, I had Dark Knight Pain just dropped for me on a random, you know, free daily 10 pull. She just happened to drop out, and then, you know, had enough frags from the daily missions to get her to EX1. So I have the card, and I'm kind of glad I have it, because I definitely think it will see some use at some point, especially if those killers match up. So I just wanted to mention it because I do think it can potentially have some use in certain situations. All right, so now I would like to move on to the top 5 premium vision cards. All right, so these are vision cards that you can only get from a unit once you have awakened them to EX3. So not all units in the game are considered quote-unquote premium units, but there are quite a few premium vision cards out there, and you know, not all of the premium vision cards are necessarily, you know, premium value, in my opinion. There are some really great ones. Usually the premium cards are quite strong and quite powerful. But there are really only 5, in my opinion, that I think are really top notch and are good on sort of all levels and across the board. Or they maybe just have something that's really unique about them, that I think brings something to the table that other cards, you know, that just doesn't exist anywhere else in the game, perhaps, right? And so that's what I'm sort of focusing on for the premium vision cards. I will say, you know, a lot of the early vision premium unit vision cards that came out are not going to be on this list, you know, like Tifa's and Sephiroth's, because a lot of those are just sort of like carbon copy, you know, carbon copy vision cards, where they have like a nice high, you know, attack or a mag stat, whatever it may be. It usually comes with a killer and some LB damage and some, you know, attack passives, but they were all, you know, pretty much carbon copies of one another. They're still great, and you know, if you're going up against a particular boss that matches the killer, you know, they're definitely useful to have, but they're just not unique enough to make it onto the list. And you know, I also definitely focus more on cards that, if they have some type of restriction, it's only restricted to FFBE units, because there are way more FFBE units in the game that are very, very useful. All the global exclusive units, for example. And so those restrictions, to me, they don't really, you know, they're not really restrictions, because there are so many great FFBE units that can be used in this game. And so series specific cards that have series restrictions, those are not going to make it on this list either. All right. And so let's go ahead and get to our top 5 premium vision cards. All right, I'll start with Premium Fina's vision card, Miracle of the Earth. Now, I want to start by thanking the folks on my Discord server for building units with the vision, you know, a lot of these premium vision cards. I honestly don't own very many premium vision cards, and in fact, all of the vision cards, with the exception of one on this top 5 list, I do not own. So I had to rely and lean on my community a little bit to provide these vision cards. So you may see most of these premium vision cards, you're going to see not with the associated units that they go with. For example, you know, this friend of mine, Ibuko, he put premium Fina's vision card on his Pearl, which is in his event slot for the bonus. Yeah, and so just ignore the unit at the top half of the screen and just look at the vision card on the bottom half of the screen for most of these premium vision cards. Anyways, getting to Premium Fina's vision card, it made the list because it is unique among premium vision cards. Most of the premium vision cards out there are, usually DPS units, like, you know, physical DPS, magic DPS units, and this one is unique because it's more of a support card, and it's a very strong support card in my opinion, because it's got 1000 HP and 100 defense and spirit on it, which is very, very nice for a vision card, and it also comes with some nice passives to go along with it. 15% MP refresh, that's pretty nice. I mean, 50% is pretty high, but the biggest one is the 30% across the board elemental resistance. So really, really strong on support units, very strong on magic tanks, or even physical tanks if the incoming physical damage happens to be elemental. So that's really nice. It kind of matches up with Sylvie's vision card in that sense. So I think that's really, really strong, but this is what makes it very, very unique. It is restricted to healer units only. So, Fina, for example, you could also throw it on somebody like Kresnik, or anyone that has the healer tag. That's the little, green the green square with the cross inside of it. And it comes with this very interesting ability, and I think it's very, very unique, where it does an AoE re-raise on the entire party at the start of battle, and that lasts for 2 turns. Now, it only does it at the start of the battle. It won't do it if you revive or if you brave shift or anything like that. So it is a little bit limited in that respect. And there haven't been a whole lot of instances where this is necessarily needed, but you never know when there's going to be a case. You know, it makes me think back to when the Icebird first came out, the Icebird trial, and it did that preemptive magic attack. And it usually, you know, when it first came out, most people, it just wiped out your entire team. And it was just like, okay, well, I have no defense against this. You know, nowadays we have magic tanks that can preemptively cover and stuff like that. But I'm thinking about situations like that where something like this could definitely come in handy. And so I think it's certainly a handy vision card to have. If you have it, you know, it's definitely, I have a feeling it's going to come in handy one day. There's going to be a trial or a situation where, you know, having this vision card is going to be the difference between clearing the trial and not being able to clear the trial easily. And so I think it's a very unique ability and worth having. It does mean you have to get Premium Fina up to EX3 to acquire it. Do I think it's necessarily premium value? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, Sylvie's card is also very, very strong, but it does have nice all-around support stats. The 30% across the board elemental resistances are very, very nice. And so for that reason, along with the unique preemptive re-raise, this vision card is definitely worth being on my top 5 premium vision cards. D.Rain and Knights of Grandchelt were both very strong units when they came out in JP. You know, they were still strong when they came out here in Global, but they were most hyped for their vision cards. And I'm going to do sort of a 2-for-1 here because D.Rain and Knights of Grandchelt, their cards are basically exactly the same, except one is for mages and one is for physical damage dealers. Otherwise, they're basically just carbon copies of one another. And they're very, very strong cards. They come with a really high flat stat. So D.Rain's vision card comes with 130 mag, which is very, very high, which is really nice. I don't own it personally, and which is why I'm having to use a friend unit here. But it comes with some nice passives. So 80% unrestricted mag, very, very nice. It also comes with 100% LB damage. Now it does have to be a mage unit, but honestly, you know, who else are you going to equip this to? So in my opinion, that is an unrestricted, you know, that is not a restriction, because you're not going to put this on anyone that's not a mage. They do have to have that mage type. You see underneath, I'm going to, you know, make D.Rain do his little thing there. So right underneath the sprite, it does have to have that mage type tag on there. You see the little blue square with the rod inside. So if they don't have that, then they won't meet the unit requirement. So do keep that in mind. Even if they're, you know, a unit that deals magic damage, if they don't have that tag, they won't get the 100% LB damage, and they also won't get the 500 flat mag. But, you know, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be sticking this on your mage damage dealer. It is a very, very, very strong card, and it definitely makes the top 5 premium VCs. Now, like I said, I'm doing a 2-for-1 here, so I'm going to do Knight of Grandchelt's card just to show you. It's on this bunny friend of mine here, and here it is, Birth of a Champion. So this is Knight of Grandchelt's premium vision card. And as you can see, it's basically a carbon copy, just everything's been switched to attack. So 130 attack stat, very, very high. 80% unrestricted attack. Again, 100% LB damage. Has to be an attacker unit, so it has to have the little attacker type tag underneath the sprite there, and then 500 flat attack. And so very, very strong on any physical damage dealer. Even though it doesn't come with any type of killers or anything like that, trust me, this is still going to be worth it to stick on your physical damage dealers. And so that's why these two cards definitely make my top 5 premium list. So the newest premium Neovision Tidus, the Vision card was a really strong contender for number 1, but it misses the mark on a couple of things. Now, it does have the highest attack stat of any Vision card out there at 150. Very, very strong. But some of the passives, I think, you know, are a little bit lacking, but I do think it's very unique with that final passive. Now, I'll start with the first one. So 50% LB damage, you know, that's okay. For a premium card, that should have been 75 or even 100% LB damage, if you're asking me. I think 50% is very low on a premium Vision card, but okay, it is what it is. And then also only 300 flat attack. You know, we've got so many Vision cards out there that are giving 500 flat attack. It's like, why couldn't this one have been a little bit higher? Sure, the 150 you know, 150 attack stat on it could definitely make up the difference, but you know, compared to like Wylk's card, I think it's a little weak. Now, it is nice that it is unrestricted. So all these things are unrestricted, which is very nice. And that's actually fairly rare on series units, especially series premium units. So most of the premium Vision cards on series units have some type of restriction. You know, usually it's like the series specific restriction. This has none of those. So that actually makes this very, very nice and flexible and useful on any physical damage dealer. And what I think makes it unique is the chain limit boost on it. And so a lot of TDH units come with 100% chain boost in their kit, which gets them up to a 5x cap, but you want them up to a 6x cap, right? So you want an extra 100% chain limit boost so that they can reach the cap on their chain limit boost. And it's nice having that on a Vision card, because then you don't have to worry about putting a piece of gear in there, either, you know, whether it be a piece of Clash of Wills gear with the Magister's upgrade on it, or like Indestructible Light. You don't have to worry about including that in the kit, which I think is very, very useful. And so I think that does make up for some of the shortcomings on the card, like the low LB damage and the low static attack. And that's why it is definitely worth being in the top 5 premium Vision cards. At number 2, my best girl, Esther. Her Vision card is very strong. I don't think I'm being too biased here. After they upgraded it, of course, when it first came out, it definitely did not have premium value. You know, when Esther first came out, I did not advise people to chase her Vision card, because it was quite weak when it first came out, but they have since upgraded it. When Sylvie's banner came out back in June, they upgraded Esther's Vision card. That's why it says level 2 out of 2, because you had to actually dump a cactar in it to get the extra stats on it. But it is now an extremely strong premium level Vision card with 135 attack stat, 110 defense, which is not too shabby. Great for bulking up your damage dealers. You get 100% passive attack and 100% passive defense. Unfortunately, that is restricted to equipping a large sword, which I don't really like. I wish there wasn't that that weapon type restriction. It's of course great for Esther, because you're always going to have her STMR on her. But yeah, for other units that aren't using large swords, that can be a problem. But you know, there are other things going on with it that make it still very, very strong, such as 50% to 4 different races. All right, so these 4 killers, Demon, Machine, Stone, and Reaper, very, very nice to have on a card, especially going up against multi-race bosses. On top of that, gives you 75% LB damage, 500 flat attack, 500 flat defense. So all in all, I think that makes up for the restriction on the passives. Still an extremely strong card for your physical damage dealers, and that's why it makes number 2 on my Premium VC list. Coming in at number 1 on the top 5 Premium Vision cards is Wylk's card, an Ancient Draconic Power. And you know, if you know me, I have a strong preference for Clash of Wills, which is why I think this is one of the strongest Premium Vision cards, if not the strongest Premium Vision card in the game right now. Super high flat attack stat at 140, really, really strong. Even though that's, you know, less attack than the new Tidus's Vision card, it's still really strong for everything else that it brings to the table. So it gives you 100% passive HP and 100% passive attack with 50% LB damage. Very, very strong right off the bat on that passive. But then it comes with this ability, and you know, same reason why Sylvie is number 1 on the non-premiums. This little ability is so good for Clash of Wills. So it does an auto morale gen every turn with a base of 50 and then an extra 50 for every active unit on the field. Okay, so that is an extra 350. So that's, yeah, I mean, that's 350 morale gen every turn. And similar to Sylvie's Vision card, I believe if your unit is dual wielding, you can potentially generate 700 morale every turn using this little that little trick on this Vision card as well. Normally in Clash of Wills, if you're going for rank 1, that's not what you're going to do. You're going to put it on your strongest physical DPS unit and just take that, you know, that 350 morale every turn. But that makes this a very, very strong card in Clash of Wills. And then on top of all that, of course, you get a nice flat 500 attack to any FFBE unit, which is, you know, a huge field of units that you can put this on. So I think this is an extremely strong card. It's definitely worth the premium price tag. If you ask me, it's very, very, very strong. And so that's why it makes number 1 on my Premium Vision cards. So I wanted to give an honorable mention to the Premium Jecht Vision card called Jecht Shot. It's definitely one of those cards that can be extremely useful for bulking up your tank. You see it's got 5,000 HP on the stat right there. And so something to consider for, you know, greatly increasing the bulk of your units, especially tanks or support units. That 5,000 HP gets multiplied by your HP passives. So if you have if you're capped at 400% HP passives, that 5,000 HP turns into 25,000 HP added to your unit. And so for that reason alone, this card can be incredibly strong for making, you know, bulking up your units. Not just your tank, of course. I mean, of course, you know, you want to use it on like a physical tank because it also comes with the defense on it. But I mean, for any support unit, anyone that you just want to make sure they have, you know, a crap ton of HP, this card goes a long way to making your unit incredibly bulky. And so for that reason, I wanted to give it a bit of an honorable mention. I will say that it also has guts on it, which is really, really nice. And it's at a 30% threshold. So if you use other items like Midsummer Boater, if you remember, you know, talking about this back in my my STMRs video, you've got like Midsummer Boater, which has a 5% threshold, and then you use it. You use something like Chocobo Feather, which has a 1% HP threshold, and it's useful for stacking up your guts and creating multiple stacks of guts on your unit. So that's fairly nice. Also comes with 500 static HP and 500 static defense, great for tanks and support units. And then 50% LB damage, you know, that's more for that's more designed for Jecht himself, because Jecht does defense scaling LB damage, but you know, you could potentially use it on other tanks that also deal damage with their LB. I could see potentially Maeve being able to use this in like Clash of Wills or something like that. Of course, if you have Jecht, this card makes him extremely tanky and extremely powerful. Jecht he got some global buffs, and Jecht is actually a very strong LB damage unit and a tank unit. So, you know, if you have the card, that means you've got an EX3 Jecht, and you know, he's actually a very fairly good unit. But this card definitely has some versatility on other tanks and support units, which is why it gets an honorable mention. And the last section is going to be the top 5 global exclusive limited vision cards. All right, and so like I said before, these are the vision cards that you get on the special step-up banners that come out usually once a month. And you know, some of them have been really, really powerful. Some of them have just been kind of meh. And so let's take a look at the ones that I think are worth it. Definitely, if you have them, if you were able to pick them up, I think these are the 5 that definitely will see some use. And hopefully one day we'll get a shop, like a special shop, where we can actually go in and use a ticket to get one of these limited vision cards, because I think some of them are going to be around and very useful for a long time to come. And so hopefully we will get a chance to pick these up in some kind of special shop in the future. Gumi hasn't said anything about that, about whether they will be opening some kind of special shop. Hopefully we'll get some news on that one day. But for now, these are the top 5 global exclusive vision cards. So a cool smile is a very unique and interesting vision card. The attack and mag stats are kind of low compared to, you know, contemporary cards that you might want to use on your physical DPS or your magic DPS. And you know, it comes with 50% passive attack and mag, which which is nice. But you know, what makes it unique is the ability at the end. It does come with some killers as well, 100% to avian and machine, so that's also a really nice touch, and one of the reasons why it made the list, because having 100% killers to 2 different races is, in my opinion, very valuable, and a very valuable thing to have on a vision card. So that definitely helps it out. What makes it very unique is this ability, Blade Work Sharp as Ice, and what it does is it provides a modifier boost, a 5,000 added damage or modifier boost. Another way to rephrase that is a 50 times modifier boost for 5 turns at the start of battle to any type of morale scaling damage, whether it scales based off your attack, your mag, your defense, your spirit, or even hybrid damage. If it scales with morale, so it's, you know, primarily geared towards Clash of Wills units or global exclusive units, as long as there's morale scaling damage on that limit burst, it will add a 50 times modifier to it. Now this is only active for the first 5 turns of the battle, and so if you think the battle's going to last longer than 5 turns, this ability effectively becomes useless starting on turn 6. So do keep that in mind. It does not reapply if you re-raise or if you brave shift. It is only at the start of battle, as you can see here. But on a couple of units, it can be extremely powerful. Notably, it's extremely powerful on Chizuru, who has morale scaling on a 2-part limit burst in her brave shift, meaning she double dips on this ability and gets a 100 times modifier boost to her brave shift LB, because both parts of her brave shift LB have morale scaling damage to them. Oliveira, it probably stands to benefit the most from a card like this, because his normal form Limit Burst has 4 parts, and each part scales with morale, meaning he quadruple dips on this, getting a 200 times modifier boost to his normal form Limit Burst. And so on a few select units, this can be extremely powerful. But really on any global exclusive unit that does, strong LB damage that scales with morale, this can potentially be that little extra boost that you need to potentially, break the damage cap on a certain boss against Clash of Wills. So this card definitely has potential. And I think it's an important card, and it definitely is worth being on the top 5 global exclusive list. Leave Things to Me was the very first global exclusive vision card released on the special step-up banners that they did, and honestly, I think they released it in anticipation for Neo Vision Esther, who came out like a month later, because Esther is a physical damage dealer in one form, a physical tank in her other form, and you notice this card has both attack and defense stats. They're kind of low compared to modern day cards at only 110 on both of those stats, but still potentially useful if you have it. At the time, 250 static attack and defense was still fairly good on a vision card when it first came out. That's kind of aged a little bit. A lot of the more desirable cards have 500 attack on them, but this is still a useful card to have. And I think one of the most useful things that it has is actually the ability at the bottom. I'm gonna skip down straight to the bottom. We'll get to the other stuff in a second, but this ability I think is still very, very useful, in that it does an AoE Great Sword Imperil, 25% Imperil, to all enemies on the field for 4 turns at the start of battle. Also does a 120% fire and earth imperil to all enemies at the start of the battle, and so that ability right there makes it unique enough that I think it's still worth having, and it's still very, very useful in a lot of situations. It also comes for FFBE units. Comes with 200% physical true double hand, which goes a long way to just easily capping. Most units have at least 200% in their kit. Goes a long way to capping off their TDH. 50% chain limit boost, that's okay. You'd rather it be 100%. But like I said, this is a bit of an older global exclusive card. When it came out, it was mostly used on units like on true dual wield units like Karten, to force them into true double hand, and so it's still useful for that. If you have like a dual wield unit and you want to force them into a double hand build, this card is still very, very useful for that. And so I think this card still deserves to be on a top 5 list of global exclusive cards. All right, Kindhearted Demon is the most recent of the global exclusive vision cards that have been released on these step-up banners, and this one is geared towards mages. Obviously, you can see it's got 125 mag on the card stat, which is quite nice. That's right up there with the sort of standard high-end mag vision cards, which is very, very nice. Comes with 200% true double hand for mages, which is also very, very nice. Most mages come with at least 200% double hand if that's what they're geared for in their kit. So this just easily gets them to the cap. There are some older mages that are dual wield that would rather be double hand, and this goes a long way to helping them get there. Notable examples would be like D.Rain. D.Rain is a double hand unit. Is a dual wielding mage, but you would rather force him into double hand so that he can take advantage of damage variance, because now mages have damage variance, and so you want to force them into double hand builds. And so a card like this goes a long way to making that happen. It also comes with some very nice killers, 100% to Dragon and Fairy killer. Like I said, cards with killers on them, especially, 100% killers, those are really, really nice to have, and they can come in handy in certain situations. Even comes with 50% Earth and Lightning resists. Welcome, elemental resistances are always welcome. And then 500 flat mag to any FFBE unit. And then it gives some nice evocation boosts if you want to use it on an evoker. It's really designed for like Tsukiko. There aren't too many other FFBE evokers that would actually stand to benefit from this card. It's really mostly for Tsukiko. And so, yeah, I mean, you could throw it in like Diverti, right? But seriously, what's that going to do? So, but it's still a very, very strong card, useful in a lot of situations, and that's why it makes my top 5 global exclusive limited card. I love this card. Lone Swordsman is such a cool global exclusive vision card, and I wish they would do more like this one. So, right off the bat, it's got a decent attack stat. It's got 500 HP too, which is kind of nice. But then it gives you 100% passive HP, 100% passive attack, unrestricted. The HP is the real standout here, I think, because man, that goes a long way to bulking up your physical damage dealers, which is really, really nice. And then on top of that, it gives you an extra flat 500 HP, 500 attack. Really, really strong for physical damage units. And then it comes with 100% killers to beast and plant. That is just really nice. Like right there, like that alone, it makes this a really, really strong card. But then what's super cool is it comes with this cooldown ability, Blazing Red Flash. And oh man, I don't know why it's not letting me click on it. Where did it go? Anyways, it comes with the ability Blazing Red Flash, and I tell you what, I've got it on one of my units, so let's just go find it real quick. I've actually got it on my 7-star Esther. All right, so this ability is super cool, right? So it does an extreme Nova Chain, which is becoming very, very popular with global exclusive units these days, especially on their limit bursts. You got like Esther and Chizuru and Wylk. They've all got the extreme Nova Chains on their limit bursts. So having this on, a support unit is really nice, but it's got an extremely high modifier on it. It has a 2,000 times modifier on, which is actually stronger than Neovision Kaito's Brave Shift LB, unless you've got full morale, of course, which actually makes this a very, very strong ability. So if you have a support unit like, let's say, Ling, for example, she can actually reach a fairly respectable attack stat. You put this on her, and she can actually deal respectable damage with this skill while chaining with your stronger physical DPS units like Esther or Wylk or Chizuru. And so this is a really, really cool ability. It is a cooldown skill, so you can only use it every 3 turns, but I really wish that they would do more vision cards like this one. I wish they would do like a magic variant. So, like maybe like a physical type, but mag based damage so that you could imbue it. That would be really, really cool. I hope they do something like this on a future global exclusive step-up card, but for mages. I would really love to see that, because I think this card is extremely, extremely useful, has a lot of potential. Not only is it just strong for damage dealers in general, but that extra ability that it comes with is super cool. So I hope they do something like this again, but do it for mages. Now, this is the one, the one global exclusive vision card that I did not pull for. I didn't have enough lapis to do it at the time, and I'm a little disappointed that I missed out on this one, because man, this one is very strong for mages. And the Dazzling Demoness card has been useful for quite a few different units. It's probably most notorious for being used on Olivera to make Olivera incredibly strong, thanks to the 500 MP on this card. As well as 120 mag, which is a respectable mag stat to have on a vision card. But it's got some very useful abilities too. 100% MP passive, 100% mag passive, unrestricted, along with 500 flat MP and 500 flat mag. So right there, that makes this card very, very strong for mages, and especially for Olivera, who likes to use MP in his Brave Shift form. And then 100% to killers, man, I love it. And especially these, because these are very rare killers too, aquatic and insect. Those are some rare killers to have. And so having those at 100%, very, very nice. Of course, it's only really good for mages. But then it reduces your MP by 50%. That is very, very nice. Especially in fights where you're getting MP drained. You want to make sure that you still have enough MP to cast your skills. And so having that 50% reduction is huge. And then if you've got an FFBE unit, you get a nice 100% chain cap boost, as well as 200% double hand. So another great card for forcing dual wield mages into a double hand build, because it also gives them the chain limit boost, which is really, really useful. Also for mages that are already double hand sort of innately in their kit, this helps you cap that, plus it'll help you cap off their chain limit boost. So a very, very strong card for mages. So right there at the top of my top 5 global exclusive vision cards. So I want to give an honorable mention to this card. This was not on a special step up banner. It is a free card, but it's limited. So I wanted to just kind of put it in this category because it is a limited time card. So, you know, if you weren't around for it, for the War of the Visions event that was going on back during the anniversary, then you may have missed this card. But if you were around for it, it was a free card that was given out as a login reward. And I've actually found it fairly useful, especially for budget builds. I think it's potentially very useful for newer players, because it has a lot of great stats on it. It's got 1000 HP, 100 attack, mag, and defense. So it's got some really nice stats on it for just like all around. It could be useful on a physical damage unit, magic damage unit. It could be good for a support unit. It's got 40% HP and defense, 40% attack and mag, and then it's actually got some nice static attack, mag, and defense. Now it's not very high, it's only 150, but for a free card that was given out, it's actually very, very useful, and especially for newer players or, you know, players playing on a budget, this card could actually come in handy in certain situations. And so I just wanted to give it an honorable mention because oftentimes these free cards that are given out as login rewards are just absolute garbage. They're trash. You don't even bother to look at them because you just know that they're going to be bad. But this one was actually a little bit sneaky because I think it does deserve to be mentioned for, especially like I said, for newer players or budget builds. And so that's why I gave this one an honorable mention. All right, so that's it. That pretty much wraps up my top 20 videos, at least for now. Like I said, I might do some more in this sort of top 20 series later on, but I'm going to take a little break from the series for now, work on some other things. Thank you guys all so much for your support. Thank you for following me and for subscribing. You guys are so awesome. You guys are what makes this content possible. And so thank you for supporting me. If you have any other vision cards that you think should have been on this list that I didn't mention, feel free to leave that in the comments below. Keep the discussion alive. Let me know what you guys think. And yeah, if there's anything else you guys would like me to do as far as top 20 videos are concerned, also feel free to leave that in the comments below. I'm not necessarily going to get to it right away, but I will certainly take notes on things that you guys leave in the comments. I always read your comments, and I love hearing from you, love your feedback. and trust that I do listen to the feedback that you guys give me, and I do my best to address it in future content. So yeah, leave any notes or anything you guys would like in the comments below for future top 20 videos, and I will be sure to take note of that and keep it into consideration for future content. So thank you guys so much, and I will see you on the other side.